So welcome everybody to my site. My name is Paul Smyers. I'm a practicing real estate agent in the central part of Virginia, over near Waynesboro in the Shenandoah Valley. And I specialize in rural property. And today I want to talk a little bit about the search that we all go through if we want to find a property. I act as a buyer agent many times, and very often is my main function. And people call me and email me, and they're looking for something, and it may or may not be actually within my range. I mean, sometimes I help people who they're actually looking for some help that is in an area that's not quite where I can really cover, honestly. But the whole process of search is so important because if we don't look for something, we won't find it, obviously. And also, if we don't know what we're looking for, then we're not going to find that either. You see, now, as real estate agents, that can be very, very frustrating because now online, I mean, you can find every house in the whole state of Virginia, and it's bewildering. And if someone calls me and they say, well, what do I want to look at? Well, I have to ask them, what are you actually looking for? So let's start thinking about that a little bit here. First of all, you have to narrow down a little bit where your region is because in the rural area, you can drive 100 miles in a day looking at a few properties, and darn it, if that's not the one, then we got to do it another time, another day or another day. And how long do you want to wait? You see, so what the ideal is that the buyer comes in and they say, I have a really specific idea of where I want to put myself and the type of house. In fact, maybe I've even found 10 likely possibilities in your area. Now we're talking. Now I have a buyer that I want to work with. I love to work as a buyer agent because it's so much fun, actually. I love to search. I've done it myself. I've done it for other people. It's really quite rewarding to match people and find what they're looking for. But you as a buyer have to figure out what you're looking for. Now, there are many times that an agent can actually use some questions, and it'll help you figure out what it is and narrow down what you want. Because the more narrow your search is, the better likelihood that you're going to find what you're looking for. Now, in the real estate business, timing matters. It's not every product is different. Every home is different. What you're looking for, the ideal thing that you're looking for, may not be on the market right now. Maybe it's going to be in the market for 6 months from now. Who knows? So, if you have, say, 10 things that you must have, 10 things, think about the odds of finding a property at the time that you want it, for the price you want it, with all 10 of those things perfectly matching up. Especially in a rural property. It's one thing if you're buying a condo or something and they just need like a bedroom or 2 bedrooms and 1 bath or whatever. It's pretty easy to figure out. When you get to a rural property, there's a lot of variables. There could be structures, there could be different terrain, there are different kinds of soil, trees, whatever, size of house. So essentially, you need to narrow it down. What are your really ultimate criteria for where you live? Now, for example, if you decide that you want to live in the Shenandoah Valley, which is behind me, a beautiful area, I talk about many other of my videos. Now we're talking, you have at least one region. You can pick any other region in the country, use the same information wherever, maybe another state. But basically, you have to pick a certain region, the type of zoning. The zoning matters, especially if you want to do a rural homesteading, any kind of thing with agriculture. Your zoning is going to really matter. So that's going to immediately start narrowing it down. Narrow it down, narrow it down. Now, people say sometimes, oh, I want so many acres. Well, okay, do you really want, does it have to be 50 acres? Can it be 40 acres? Can it be 52 acres? You see, so it depends on some other things that you may not find exactly the dimensions that you want, for example, or even the shape, for example. But there might be features on that property that overwhelm, that on the positive side, that offset some of the things that, I got 10 things I really want, but one is I'm not getting, but one is also really great. So think about where you are in your flexibility, because when you see something that just feels just right, you're going to want to make a solid offer, because especially in some areas, we have a pretty lively real estate market here, especially in certain popular towns. The houses can be sold in 10, 15 days or whatever, and at least they have a contract or something. Now, in a rural property, when you have a little more of the land, especially if you're not near a school, those types of properties sometimes sit on the market a little bit longer. But then there's also people like myself and the elderly people that want to move out of the city, and they want to go out to the countryside and have some real lower taxes and so on. So at the same time, there's younger people who say, okay, I grew up in the city, but now I want to raise my family, and they also want to buy a rural property. So you have some kind of a competition to buy the kind of property that may not be on your exact list and specifically address every single point that you want. So the pricing may matter. Let's say you find something you really love, but you also have to pay a little more for it. Well, why not? If you really love it and you feel like, man, I can really live here, this is going to be my home, and my family's going to grow up here, and it's going to cost me $15,000 more than I hoped for, but, hey, it's the right place, and I got to move soon and so on. So think about the search, the timing. If you're buying certain property, there are certain times of the year when there's more likely that certain types of property will find themselves on the market. It just so happens that, generally speaking, in the springtime, you got all these people selling. They want to move. Their kids graduate, whatever. They got to move quickly in the summer. And then there's other people that say, okay, I'll take your house. I'm moving somewhere else, and my kids need to be in a certain school. So, you have all that kind of transaction. But when it comes to a rural property, if you're really lucky, you can buy it in the early spring and close on it, say in March or something in Virginia, where you're going to have all summer long to just really do some renovations or do some things in your yard and so on. So the timing of your search matters, but again, in the popular time of year, that's when maybe the prices were a little bit higher. At the same time, let's say someone signs a contract for a 6-month listing, and they start in, say, August, and, come December, they're wondering, like, where's my buyer? And you come along and say, well, it's in the middle of the winter, but I'll buy it, and you pay a little less price, and then spring comes, and you settle in. And so just search, again, keep narrowing it down, willing to compromise on certain things. Try to narrow down your list of absolute musts. There's certain things that if you have too many musts in the list of your search, it's going to cause a problem, because it's just going to, maybe there's nothing at all on the market at this time in your price range that matches all those factors, you see. So I hope people will contact me. I am a scout. I do a lot of wandering around. I learn the whole area. I know where all the roads are and the terrain and so on. There's a map behind me. I've been up and down all these roads. And that way I can help people, guide them down at least to the regional area. There's certain towns in Virginia that are a little bit more expensive. There's certain zoning things that are going on in certain areas, certain types of, like from some areas they're harvesting timber, and it's not the greatest place for a family neighborhood, but then there's other places that are like absolute wonderful piece of heaven, and those places are in demand. So be willing to compromise. Now, one thing that you can really do, and this is an old story, but you can fix something up. If you have the basics of an old property that it needs some work, okay, maybe the person selling it is an elderly, they're willing to compromise in the price. Maybe they'll accept it. You just tell them, look, I need to do a lot of work on this property, but I'll take care of it. And sometimes you have a seller who's saying, like, you know what, I've lived in this home for 35 years and whatever, and my husband's gone or whatever, and my children are all grown, and I want to sell it to somebody who just loves it's going to take care of it, and maybe they'll compromise on the price or something. So, again, searching, narrow it down, be specific, be a little bit more willing to compromise on certain things. And the last thing I could say is, when you find something you really love, and you say, you and your partner, if you're together, say, honey, let's do it, this is great. Don't be afraid. Just make the commitment, go for it. If it's a good property, if it's in good demand and other people are trying to buy it and you make a bid high, that means that property, other people want to buy it and you just got lucky and you got it. So thanks for listening. See some of my other videos, and I love being in contact with people, so hope to see you.